we will know as fans, the staff will know, the coaches will know, everyone in that stadium will know by about 8 or 9 minutes left in the second quarter. We'll know whether UW can win this game.
Sure, to some degree, do we wish we had like a Phil Knight, the CEO of Nike?
Definitely.
For sure, of course. But that doesn't mean that I respect the fact that that is how your program has any prominence at all.
It's Hate Week here on the Dubbed Up podcast as those blowhards from down south are coming up to Seattle for the game. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the UCLA game, and we got some Q&A, and then, of course, we're going to be picking. Real quick, though, make sure you go, like, subscribe, and join the Discord. It's all down there in the bio. Do that before you do anything. I got my guys Izzo and Noah with me. Fellas, I think we closed out the Rose Bowl in a very, very good way. I think we're all feeling good coming back to Seattle as we enter Hate Week. Noah, what did you think?
Yeah, Pasadena was purple, and we seem to have a lot of events where we get the opportunity to play last games of the Pac-12. We played in the Pac-12 championship, won that. We got the last game in the Rose Bowl. I think that this was a very much a game for DeMond that allowed him to maybe get some of those road woes and put them behind him. Two rushing touchdowns, 2 throwing touchdowns. Once Alex McLaughlin returned that 59-yard fumble, game was over. And I think UW kind of played with their food. I think that's kind of that's the easiest way to explain it the rest of the game. Did you guys notice, man, UCLA, they were just going through the motions. They were the defensive calls. The players were kind of it was like a scrimmage game. Once it was 20-0, we go into the second half. I think we scored on every single possession except the final one where we brought in Kai Horton. It was oddly familiar to the Purdue game, 49-13 versus Purdue, 48-14 versus UCLA. Man, shout out to the defense. 3 turnovers, I think.
Yep.
Ryan Walters, man, I'm telling you, just slowly but surely, just chugging along, man. Still just pitching 1-2 touchdown type games week in and week out, some field goals in there. I mean, it's pretty impressive to see.
Got rid of the ghost, Noah.
Yeah, the ghost.
Got rid of the Rose Bowl ghost. 426 yards there, 207. We were averaging 6.4 yards a play, 212 yards on the ground, 214 pass yards. You're going to dominate with that stat line. They had 58 yards rushing. We allowed 10 first downs. They had totaled 150 pass yards and 57 rushing yards. The difference between how this defense looked to start the year when we had talked about the interior defensive line and all this depth and all this stuff, and then it kind of looked shaky at the beginning and we were calling for sacks and those weren't coming initially. And now we see that basically this team became what we thought that they would. Our rushing defense has got to, to me, it's a top 10 rushing defense. And it's going to make this Oregon game super interesting because it's strength on strength. And I can't wait. I almost want to get just through this UCLA game. We all watched it. There's not a ton to take from it. Adam Hamid, 108 yards, career rushing day. The offensive line looks fantastic, but what do you take from that given how bad UCLA's defensive line was? And I thought we schemed really well. There was that DeMond rushing touchdown to the left on the short side of the field. It was almost unnecessary, but they stacked the right side and they did not think we were going that way. And there's little things that you're seeing from the offensive play calling that make you kind of believe a little bit that we could be holding some stuff back and really get tricky in this Oregon game and challenge them.
I was going to ask what you guys thought about the start because the start was another slow start. I mean, we scored 3 points in the first quarter. The first 2 drives were both punts. And I felt like on that, I think it was the second drive where we had Audric Harris open and DeMond just missed him. He overthrew the ball. Do you think that constitutes as a slow start since we did still score in the first quarter? And do you think that can still be problematic playing into that narrative that we've heard all year about starting slow on the road?
The play that you're referring to, that deep shot to Audric Harris, you had Denzel Boston there. I think he catches that ball all day. The interesting piece is, Mike, something you brought up about having certain players ready to go in games. You were referring to the offensive line in the last pod. But for that play, nothing against Audric Harris, but why not run that to Amari Evans? Why not run that to Chris Lawson? You saw Chris Lawson come back in the game and have that, I think it was like a 42-yard shot that he caught down the field. It's like, why aren't we running, plays to some of our deeper burners? Is the slow start concerning? I mean, it's concerning. I mean, it's concerning because against Oregon's, against Michigan's, against Ohio State's, you need multiple quarters to load points on to be able to beat them. You saw a struggle against Wisconsin when that game got condensed into a half. Weather gets bad. I mean, it's tough to play. It shows when you don't have Coleman. It shows when you don't have Boston on the field. But I will say, I had just a note here to make sure, dude. The depth on UW is real. We do have a lot of young players playing, and you got to tip your cap to them a little bit. Yeah, they don't make plays like some of our heady veterans, but they are making plays, and it's impressive to see. So I think when you start bringing in different units, different players to mesh with Damon, you're going to see some of those hiccups. And just in that game, last thing I'll say on that too, Mike, UCLA was bringing a load of pressure when they got to Damon a couple times early in that game. I think once we started to see them, we started throwing some different offensive variants and some different schemes. We started throwing away from that pressure. You saw Decker get some passes, started to open up the seams, and I think they quickly realized defensive coordinator knew that he couldn't just bring pressure all day and expect to stop us.
So where do you think we do have depth, and where do you think we don't have depth?
I think we have wide receiver depth for sure.
Yeah.
If you would have go ahead.
I think to your point, like it's coming to, like it's starting to show a little bit, and then
it's young though. They're young though. You know what I mean? I mean, they're young guys, and
at receiver specifically, like D-line depth there, corner. Yep. There, we can go 3-4 deep, maybe not in the slot so much or at nickel, but at the outside stuff, like I have faith in Dylan Robinson. Safety, we've got 4 rotational guys. I think it's at certain positions. The offensive line, we have depth that we aren't used to.
If you told me we had Deuce Davis and Isaiah Ward, I would say we had depth at edge too.
I think the depth is developing as time goes too. Like if you would have taken us in the weeks 1 through 3, you wouldn't have said we had depth at linebacker, but with ZRS and X-ray really emerging, all of a sudden now you're looking at next year and you're like, oh wow, we have real depth there.
Talking about edge, like Hyde looked good in this game too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's hard to decide what to take away from these like drastic different opponents, like what's going to translate. But the reason why I asked it, Noah, was because in the Wisconsin game, one of the things that you talked about was not having the depth in that game to go out and win it on the road. But I think context matters in that game.
I mean, there's no question context matters. I think defensive philosophy matters too. I think the front 7 of Wisconsin, as we started to see the week before we played them against Oregon, if you remember that, I think they gave up 21 points versus Oregon. Then the next week against us, then the next week you see them go out versus
and they beat Illinois.
Yeah, well, no, I think the next week it was like Ohio State, but they played all right early in that game, that Ohio State game. Then Ohio State just leaned on them, they beat them, and then they played Illinois this past week, and they slobber knocker, dude.
That's what I was saying,
Illinois, man. And no, I'll be the first to admit, I thought you score 14 points in that game and you win, and you would have.
Yeah,
I just thought we could score 14 points in the game.
No, I get where you're coming from.
I mean, but point being is, but to your question about the depth, I want to give a big shout out to Jordan Washington. He's been behind a healthy Jonah Coleman, a healthy Adam Muhammad. He's finally got his shot, and dude, when he touches that ball,
it's electric.
Fireworks, baby.
When they give him space and they don't have to get him to make a bunch of guys miss with jukes, that is when he's straight line speed, nobody's catching him.
Yep.
That's real. You're 100. It's like some John Ross type stuff that we were talking about last week.
John Ross had the juke stuff, right? He can make guys missing small windows or whatever. He could come down with a catch and then shake you. I don't think Jordan Washington has that shake, but that long speed is very real.
That fifth gear. Yeah, that fifth gear is crazy. One of the things that you said, Izzo, that I think really was the game changer in this, because I'm looking at the drive chart right now, and if not for that fumble recovery, we don't score in the first quarter, and it's a 0-0 game going into the second quarter. And we do score one early in the second quarter, but then there's another fumble that leads to another score for us. I think what the elevation of the Ryan Walters defense
Yes,
has
agreed.
been a huge difference between the first half of the season and the second half of the season. They literally, the first drive for UCLA in this game, they went 9 plays for 51 yards and took up 5 minutes and 25 seconds a clock. And they ended up stalling out, but they were actually driving. They were actually able to move the ball a little bit. They were able to run almost 10 plays. After that, everything kind of got shut down. I mean, 1 play for a fumble, 3 plays and a punt, 5 plays and a fumble, 3 plays and a punt, 4 plays and a fumble. I mean, this is just the first half.
Yeah.
They like the defense really kept giving the offense short fields and chances to make everything happen.
It's like a chicken and the egg thing where do you feel that you need to come out and start fast, or do you give credit to the fact that we make adjustments really well on the fly? And it's like, it's hard to tell, are you mad at that? Like, would you, or do you need to come out and score right away against some of these defenses?
I think Ryan Walters, he is a mad scientist. And I'm serious when I say that. Oh, is this play going to work? Oh, I don't really like that variation. Oh, is this pressure going to work? He's got his Petri dish and he's just doing little things, but you see it slowly but surely like matriculating over. It's like, oh, I don't like that pressure. And then, but then as the game goes on, man, he's like a boa constrictor and he just chokes you out. And maybe you can say it's against UCLA, it's against Purdue, it's against these weaker offensive teams. But I'm going to say it again. This was our stat. We called it out first. We still have not given up 24 points to anyone this whole season. And the point being on that is that's Ohio State. That's Michigan. That's your Illinois. I mean, that's some good offensive teams there that maybe not high-powered, falutin teams, but teams that put up points against a lot of teams in the Big Ten. Absolutely.
Or at least they have,
yeah.
They had that mantra coming into the season and they put up points on USC. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. I want to make sure before we move on to the Oregon game that we call out the defensive line, how they're able to get pressure from big bodies and not necessarily from speed, which is really interesting play in the Big Ten, and it's working for us.
Yep.
Like Bryce Butler shows up on the stat sheet. Obviously, Deshaun Lynch with the pass breakups, another stat that Noah deserves credit for. Right.
Yep.
Right. Thank there you. With the PBUs. And so it's
big
super
juicy Deshaun Lynch, baby. Big juicy.
I mean, dude, he is. Like we talk about Kafusi and how much flack he was getting at the beginning of this year for recruiting blunders, but dude, you cannot argue with what he's doing with this lack of depth on the outside because of injuries, mixing in these bodies in the interior and generating pressure up the middle too. I mean, it's so disruptive.
Another thing to make sure we call out about that defense is the impact of the young players on the defense. Guys like Alex McLaughlin, I mean, minus Takario Davis's phantom tackle, we didn't see him play at all. Dylan Robinson and what he did recovering the fumble, Rashawn Clark forcing the fumble, X-Ray Alexander having another 6-tackle game. Alex McLaughlin, we knew he was going to be pretty good, but did anybody expect this from this kid?
No, definitely not. Alex McLaughlin's been fantastic.
Can I ask a question before we jump off this UCLA game? I just got a question here is, what are your guys' thoughts on Jacob Manu playing in this game? Like I heard the post-game presser where Jed said, I promised him he'd be able to play in front of his family. I think, him and Decker, I think Decker had like 100 people there. Manu had like 40 or something crazy.
His family.
Yeah. I mean, my point is like, man, like Jacob Manu is like somebody that leadership on the field can look at offenses, and be like, hey, I saw this in the film, here comes the sweep, whatever it is. It's like that veteran presence versus Oregon is somebody that I thought we were kind of like, you go through the Wisconsin game, you go through the Purdue game, you go through the UCLA game, and it's like, okay, we're going to hold him for Oregon. And then all of a sudden you see pregame warmups and you're like, there's Jacob Manu out there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts with that?
I'm okay with it. If you make that promise to them before the season starts, you got to honor that, in my opinion. And it'd be one thing if we didn't have ZRS making this drastic step up, but
that's what I was about to bring up.
Yeah. Do you think he should have played Noah?
I just think that he, if it was me,
I could see the hesitation in you, bro.
If it was me, I'm going to go to him. I'm going to bring. If I'm Jed Fish, I'm going to the linebackers coach. I'm going to Odom, and I'm going to Manu and say, "Hey guys, come meet me in the in my office." And I'm going to say to him, "Hey, I promised you this. I'm going to uphold my promise. But if you think you're more beneficial versus Oregon for this team, I think you are. But I want to know your opinion. If you want me to uphold this, I'm going to do it all day. I'm going to have that conversation." And maybe they did. And if it comes out and he plays versus UCLA, so be it. I just hope they had the conversation that it's Oregon, it's hate week, it's the freaking Ducks.
Yeah.
And Manu knows. When you're on this team long enough, dude, you know how big of a game this is.
It's a move that you would make right before you left for another job, huh?
Oh, don't go there. Oh, don't go there. But now my feelings are hurt.
Hey, Grady Gross, 2 for 2 on field goals. Luke Dunn, first game that I actually thought he was formidable. Two punts, average 40 yards a punt.
We need that absolutely in this game.
Here's the deal, Luke. If you have this game, you can redeem it all, baby. I'm your biggest fan. If you can just do it on the field, let's go.
All right. Well, you know what? That's a great segue to jump into Hate Week. There's nobody we dislike more than them ugly mallards from Eugene. We're playing for our 9th win, gives us an opportunity at a bowl game to win 10 games. If Oregon loses, very well could knock them out of the playoff. There's going to be a lot of eyes on it. And when you beat your rival and it becomes, 4 out of the last 5, Lanning all of a sudden has a problem beating Washington, it plays a big role in the narrative moving forward. And I think that Jed can do a lot for himself, not just on the field, but also financially if he ends up beating Oregon this week. But let's take a look at this Oregon game. Noah, how are you looking down on this game, and what are the first things that are popping out to you about this matchup?
Yeah, the first thing I looked at, always just because I got that sports book mentality, man, is I always check the line right when it pops out. Opened up at 7.5. A little bit of money coming in on the dogs at that number. The line's down to 6.5. Over under on this, the total's 51.5. I think whoever gets to 24 first probably wins this game.
Oregon is number 9 in the country at 37.5 points per game. UW's 32.1. Defense for UW, we're at number 19 points per game at 19.7. Fantastic. Oregon's at 15.1. They're number 6, also obviously very good. This is the toughest test for UW since Ohio State. One thing that's interesting in this matchup that jumped out from a team stats perspective is that Oregon allows 90.5% red zone conversion in terms of team scoring in the red zone. If you get in the red zone, 9 out of 10 times you're scoring against Oregon. So they struggle down there.
If we can,
Lupoy. 123rd. Wow.
Tosh Lupoy. We're for us in the red zone, we're converting 90% down there. And beyond that, and on 4th down, they're really bad too, which is interesting. And I'm trying to decide what that tells us, because I don't think anybody has it mixed up that Oregon's defense is very good, right?
Yeah.
That's a bizarre trend for them. 4th down conversion and red zone conversion.
If you remember in the Ohio State game, which in my opinion is unequivocally the best defense we've seen all year, and even after this game, I think it'll still be the best defense. But if you remember that game, we actually were moving the ball very well in between the 20s. We struggled in the red zone versus them. So if we can move the ball on Ohio State, we should be able to move the ball on Oregon as well. If we can convert when we get in the red zone, I mean, that could be a way where UW allows this game to kind of just keep us in it long enough to actually make a late play and maybe win it.
Yeah. Okay. So just to wrap up kind of like the high level stuff, I think this is definitely a bigger hurdle for Oregon than USC, given that we're playing at Husky Stadium. It's going to be absolute packed to the gills. And I think we're confident coming home after dominating on the road. And you hope to see like your Denzel Boston back. My opinion is that we don't see Drew Party back in this game. We'll talk more about the offense, but let's
talk injuries though too, before we get into that too much.
Yeah, so I'll just mention it from the UW side. I think we all saw with Jonah, he's not going to be 100% for this game. So I think it's going to be, I don't know if it's a pitch count, but it's going to be a mix of Adam Muhammad and Jonah Coleman. And there's an argument to suggest like a healthy Adam Muhammad at this point is probably more effective between the 20s than Jonah Coleman, I would assume. But who knows? We'll have to see at game time. Takario Davis, I don't know. I was surprised. We were kind of going back and forth before we kicked this off. Is Takario Davis healthy or not? He got logged with a tackle. I didn't catch it. Maybe somebody else did. But I didn't think he played at all in this game. And some places are saying that he didn't take any snaps, and some are saying that he had a tackle. So I would just TBD on that. I think we're pretty confident in Dylan Robinson, and I don't think these are the toughest receivers that we've faced with all the injuries at Oregon. So it wouldn't surprise me to not see Takario Davis in this game, or maybe for a handful of plays if guys need to come out. But I think it would be like a need basis type of thing. Same with Jonah. But I do think we see Denzel full go, which I would say might be the most important of those guys to return.
The USC Oregon game. I mean, DeCorian Moore didn't play, and it sounds like he's out. You have Evan Stewart. He might come back. No, he's not coming back now. He's out. You have Jeremiah McClellan. I think he's questionable. You have Gary Bryant. He's out. You have
those are their wide receivers.
Those are all their whole wide receiver room is just pilfered. You have Isaiah World. Sounds like he's going to be out there. They're starting left tackle. You have Alex Harkey. I think he might play, but he got banged up in the USC game. You got Poncho. You got Poncho, their stalwart center, who played as a freshman, and now he's really kind of taken like that leadership role, on their offensive line. So it's just an interesting dynamic. It's like week in and week out, you just don't know. And this is a game where if this game's at Autzen, I think Oregon is just extremely, extremely confident. I'm not sure they're as confident coming up to Montlake. They know coming on the road. They know taking a banged up team, because here's the deal. We are pretty damn good stuff in the run. They're pretty good stuff in the run too. But if you're telling me you're going to roll out your second-ish, third-ish type string receivers against the DBs that we have, dude, Dante Moore's not going to be super comfortable fitting the balls in those windows that he's seen. And these are going to be some of the tightest windows they've seen all season. And so this game starts to shape up from an injury perspective where that 6.5, that 7 number, yes, I think it is right just from the overall depth of both teams. But I think it's very formidable in being able to can UW win this game? I think the answer is yes.
Let's look to this UW offense, led by Damon and Jonah and Denzel, going against that heralded Oregon defense. Uyunglele is a monster. He seems to always be making plays. The freshman corner, Finney Jr., seems to really, he's, built like a Takario or like a Efi. How do we see UW matching up with that defense? Izzo, I'm going to start with you on this one.
I think a big key for this game is going to be Demond getting outside and using his legs and kind of creating some confusion in that defensive line, forcing them to communicate. And I question whether or not that, like a Bear Alexander has the ability to really perform to the fullest of his capability if we're kind of going sideline to sideline a little bit more and we're keeping those edges at bay, because I think Demond is way faster than their linebackers. So I think that really opens up not only the pass game, but what you can do in the run with your Jordan Washingtons. And I suspect that there's probably some tricks up the sleeve of Jed in this game to create some of that. So that's how I see us attacking and having success, because I believe in Desmond Roebuck. I believe in Raiden Vinesbright coming off the concussion. I think that's big time. But I want to see us kind of create opportunities with them with the run game. Like I've said in other podcasts as we preview games, establish the short pass game and not get caught in a bunch of third and longs, second and longs. Really, we need to have success on first down in this game and extend drives and keep that defense on the field and control the football, and not necessarily do it with shot plays deep, because they have lengthy, great cornerbacks.
Real quick question then, because we were just pointing out about how with UCLA, Damon kind of had a slow start. If you're Jed, what do you do to get Damon's confidence up early?
I want to see them come out and just have some heavy RPO in this game, because Izzo, to your point, I think using Damon as a runner early is something you're going to have to do against this Oregon front. If you remember last year in this game, remember Damon started. This was one of his very first games he started. If not the first one,
it was his first. Yep.
Yep. And remember, I think they got to him 10 times.
10 sacks.
Yep. And by the end of this game, man, he was looking like Rocky, just absolutely like battered and bruised. And you want to use him, use his legs, expose the defense, put them in bad spots, but you also don't want to get him lit up, right? So I think if you can get him in some RPO, and I think you want to go RPO with tempo. And why I say tempo is, dude, they got Amari Washington, they got Bear Alexander, they got Ungalele, they got Tui Auti. I mean, they got big dudes up front that can play. But if you can get them a little tired, I think that's where they start to struggle. You don't allow them to substitute. And then remember in that USC game, and Lanning talked about this, dude, they had a lot of pass interference in that game. They get a little handsy, man. If you can kind of put some pressure on them, maybe not with like a deep shot after deep shot, but put some 50-50 balls up there and make our guys, make those plays. Because I think that if you can kind of get them on their heels early, I don't know if you're going to beat them just with a ground and pound run game like Adam Muhammad inside zone stuff like that.
You got to get stuff going outside.
But if you can extend them, Izzo, you said this too with Bryce Butcher and their linebacker crew. I want to see Betcher actually have to run sideline to sideline. Mm-hmm. I know people like him. They think he makes all these plays.
He got 90 tackles.
Yeah, totally. But I don't want to run up the gut on these guys. I don't want to run at 600-700 pounds. I want to run. Yep.
Sorry, just to interject. They struggled against what's his name for USC, Maiyava. They struggled with him on the ground, him getting outside quite a bit. So sorry, not to interrupt.
No, you're good. I mean, and I remember in that game, I don't remember in the pregame of that USC Oregon game, they talked about how when Oregon in the last couple of years has struggled, it's when the quarterback has become what I like to say is that running back +1. When they can put two players on the field that can extend the play, who can actually get out and scamper a little bit. Damon Williams is one of the most elite runners at second down, getting us into first down type territory, getting us third down, getting us extending this. So I think if you have that in a game like this, I think it just puts a ton of pressure on that defense.
This is kind of interesting. Oregon, their edge is, Uiagalelei, he had a lot of hype heading into this year. In my opinion, he's kind of underperformed against expectations. Did you know that Oregon is 75th in the country with sack rate? You would have thought from their fans that they would lead the country in sacks.
Yeah, I mean, they have less sacks than UW.
They have 18 sacks on the season.
Yeah.
Their defensive line is pretty kind of similar, where they have these big bodies and they're really disruptive on the interior. But I feel that they're just not getting the pressure either because teams are recognizing that they need to get the ball out quick, similarly to how teams approach UW and kind of getting things out underneath against those bigger corners, or it's because the guys they're not producing up to expectations like they did last year. And I don't know what it is. I don't have an explanation for it, but they're just not as effective as they have been. And so I think this is a situation where if you can create confusion in the run game by mixing things up, and like you said, no, with the RPO, absolutely agree. I know you said you wanted some deep shots and 50-50 balls, especially if you have Denzel back. I totally agree with that. I just think it's set up. Like, I don't want to see like 4 wide receiver spread, sets like for half this game. And we're like trying to pass on them constantly, unless it's, it's a type of design run type of thing with Demond, or like you're giving him the option on a RPO or a play action where he's bouncing outside and then you're doing it that way.
I think your RPO, what that actually does is it puts a ton of pressure on your linebackers and your defensive ends. So then you have guys like who have struggled, like Jerry Mixon. That's a name that we remember, that recruiting battle we had.
Yeah,
Jerry Mixon struggles in coverage. And I think that if we can get him to kind of like look into the backfield, start to feel that Damon can get outside with his legs, I think that'll make him keep his eyes in the backfield. And then you have little shots to Decker. You have those over the over the middle hits to Roebuck. You have Lawson coming. You have RVB back for this game. I mean, there's a lot of options that if you can kind of put them on their heels, get their eyes in the backfield, I think it allows you to start hitting some of those intermediate routes where we can be more successful.
It sounds like the theme to me is really target the linebackers and then stifle the defensive line with different looks and make them communicate more than they typically have to. They probably won't be ultra aggressive in trying to go after Damon with these edges. I think they're going to try to play contain. If the Huskies can hit 150 yards and avoid turnovers and like 5+ penalties, 6+ penalties, and start turning the ball over that way and giving them drives, I think that UW will win this game. If we're over 150 yards and we are under 5 penalties, I think we can score with Oregon and we can have a chance of winning this game for real.
Do you mean 150 yards on the ground or 150 yards?
Sorry, 150 yards on the ground. Correct.
Okay.
So you think can I ask this really quick to Izzo's point? Because I actually think this is a really good point and something I haven't thought about is, does Oregon, does Dan Lanning look at this? Does Tosh Lupoy look at this and go, hey, maybe it's not completely about just getting after him with all this simulated pressure. Maybe we try to create this, almost like this, half circle around him, keep him really in the pocket, contain him, right? Just traditional edge play.
Force
and if we can get home with 4, if we can get home with 4, that's what we do. But the only thing that we think can lose us this game, I'm just trying to think through it, is Damon just going absolutely bonkers. I mean, is that kind of...
That's if you're Oregon, this is what I would deploy on UW. I would contain Damon, set the edges and blitz him from the outside if you're going to do so, and force him to run up the middle, which he has been successful doing. But I'd take that with their big interior defensive lineman like Bear Alexander to stuff some of those lanes and at least minimize the damage. And then force him to throw. Kind of stack the box against us and go one-on-one with our receivers. I think I'm taking Denzel coming off a week rest. I know it's the ankle, but I think he's probably going to be pretty healthy for this game, and let UW try to beat you with one-on-one shots to Denzel, focus on containing Damon, and then stuff the box and obvious running downs, early downs, and try to eliminate the run. Basically do everything you can to force Damon to beat you with his arm.
So check this out, guys. Interesting stats because that you say that. So Mayava last week threw for 306 yards and 3 touchdowns. They had 2 receivers go over 100 yards, a bunch of explosive plays as well. Now there was 2 interceptions. He did throw 2 interceptions on top of that.
You got to go watch that game too, because one of the touchdowns from Lane in the end zone on a deep ball, and it was Mekhi Lemon where it was this insane grab that was complete 50-50. And he just made an incredible play where that doesn't exist unless you have Mekhi Lemon, and then Jacoby
also
Lane
threw a touchdown as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying some of that's fluff. I'm just saying I don't think it's a trend when you watch the game. It doesn't look like something that necessarily you could bank on if you're UW, nor do you have to, because your strength is on the ground.
The interesting piece in that game is I watched that full game, and I know there was a ton of people online, Oregon fans, saying that a lot of those 50-50 PI calls, were definitely going against Oregon. But honestly, man, Oregon was, like I said, they were extremely handsy in that game, and it's they're not going to go against Tanook Hines and Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon this week. But you got to go against Denzel Boston. You got to go against Roebuck. You got to go against Amari Evans.
I don't want to.
You got to go against RVB.
Yeah, and I was going to say Denzel Boston is every bit what all of these guys are.
I would say maybe Mekhi Lemon's better,
but not honestly, by much,
dude.
I mean, if Mekhi Lemon's a 91, Denzel Boston's an 89.
Here's the thing, though. Pushback is that they have 3 NFL wide receivers on the roster right now. We have, I think, what could be guys who go to the NFL. I agree with you on that. The more clear pathway for me is what we talked about initially, which is getting Damon to create confusion on their defense, but with his legs, versus trying to go tit for tat with them wide receiver on corners. Their corners are very good. Their safeties are very good. It's the strength of their defense. I don't necessarily believe that the pathway is to take USC's approach. They're a pass first offense,
and it didn't work. They lost. So that's
Exactly
another
right.
thing. They also lost doing it, which you have to take that into account. I just saw that the numbers were very gaudy. Like 330 yards passing against the Oregon defense. I don't know how many times they did that at all this year.
It created quick drives too for USC and gave Oregon the ball more. It was like USC does not match up well with them because of the fact they're a pass heavy offense. We need to control the ball and play Big Ten ball like we talked about.
See, I thought USC didn't match up well with them because nobody in their secondary can really tackle well.
That too on the defensive side, but it's like because they pass the ball and they rely on that, they're moving the ball when they're successful very quickly and they're giving that defense rest. We want, like what Noah talked about, tempo, successful on first down, getting 5-6 yard chunks on the ground, tire out that defensive line, create confusion with the linebackers. Let's not go after Tiedemann and Finney Jr. as like the thing that we go after. Set it up for Denzel. We know Denzel is going to be open at some point during this game. Like, just don't make that the focal point of the offense.
I would agree with that. I don't want to come out just like at the end of this game. If DeMond Williams has to throw the ball 40 times, we ain't winning this game.
We ain't winning it.
Yeah. I think if we rush, so Oregon's giving up like 110, 100, that type of range in terms of rush. They're at 109 yards per game allowed on the ground. Right, 3.2 yards a carry. If you get to 150, 165, that type of thing, if we total 200 yards on the ground, we are giving ourselves a chance to win this game. That means we are successful on first down. That means either DeMond or Adam Muhammad has 100 yards in this game, and you extended drives, kept their defense on the field. That's the.
I think we got to see a lot of Washington too, because I think that's a weapon on the ground for this.
Yeah,
but I see what you're saying.
Him in. Yeah. But I think
the interesting piece really quick on that is I don't know why, but when I look at Adam Muhammad and just his running style, this game doesn't I don't love this game for him. I'll just that's just me being frank. I love it when you have DeMond reading the defensive end, reading the linebackers, and going RPO. If you just want to go handoff to Adam Muhammad and say, good luck, kid, I don't like that. I kind of like that with a healthy Jonah, because I think Jonah he can break so many more tackles, and he's just that type of running back. But in this, I think you have to use DeMond. He has to be your fire starter in this game. That's my whole point.
Yeah, that's the deciding factor of this game is DeMond's feet in this game.
Yep.
And it's more likely if we could run for 165, Noah, to your point, it's not Adam with 100, DeMond with 60 or 65 or whatever. It's more likely we win if DeMond has 97 yards rushing.
Yep. Actually, that's a great point. I couldn't agree more on that.
Let's move towards the UW defense versus the Oregon offense. Now, Noah, when you're looking at what UW's defense has done all year, they've been able to stifle people and stop people. I mean, when you said they haven't given up more than 24 points all season long. How are you looking at how this UW defense matches against this really potent Oregon offense?
Yeah, you see, especially since they're struggling so much with just injuries with their wide receivers. I mean, they are leaning on this run game. They have a couple freshmen that have really like popped. Obviously, they got the veteran in Noah Whittington, but you see Jordan Davidson, Dier Hill Jr. Both those guys are showstop type running backs. But we have been very formidable against the run. I mean, I think we're 17th in the country, giving up right around 100 yards per game. If I'm looking at this game as a Ryan Walters, and I call him the mad scientist, it's like, I think if we can shut down the run game, which is a tough task, I'm going to go an island. I'm going island. Even if you have Decario Davis, I'm going island with Ephesians. I'm going island with Dylan Robinson, and I'm going to say, hey guys, Malik Benson, you guys are going to have to beat me, because I'm going to put everybody to shut down this run. And I'm going to say, hey, Moore, how good are you, Dante? I mean, can you beat us with these second and third rate wide receivers? And maybe the answer is yes, but that's how I'm going to go. I'm going to load the box, and I'm going to try to shut down this run. And I'm going to say, beat me over the top.
You're forgetting one person though. Kenyon Sadiq is their leading receiver.
Yep.
He's got 8 touchdowns. He leads in yards and catches for them. And who are you going to put on him if you're going to do this straight up man up?
Yep, I love that. So I think the easiest pathway to kind of try to shut down Kenyon Sadiq is I'm going to put ZRS on Kenyon Sadiq, especially coming off the line. Make sure my defensive ends or one of my linebackers does not give him a free release, and then I'm going to have Alex McLaughlin bracket him in some sort of formation on that backside, just to allow him, because I mean, Malik Benson, really good wide receiver. I'm just saying they don't have the explosives all over the field like they have when they're healthy with DeCorian Moore and Gary Bryant and all these guys. I think you have to seriously go, how do we make them one-dimensional? And I think if you can load the box up and you can shut down the run, then you go, okay, like, you're going to beat us with your wide receivers. You're going to beat us with Kenyon Sadiq. It's not easy to do. These guys are 10-1. This is a great football team, number 5, number 6 in the country, whatever it may be. But I think you have to really focus on one area, and I think that really comes up front, especially with their offensive line. With some of the injuries, this might be the first game some of these guys start. I think this is where you have to bring a ton of pressure on them. And then the other piece, too, is if Isaiah World's out, if Alex Harkey's kind of banged up, their 2 offensive tackles, you gotta look Jacob Lane, you gotta look Zach Durfee in the eyes and go, you're gonna get one-on-one matchups all game, boys. This is hey Durf, remember 6'5", 265. Remember this, boys? Durf, bring it in, big fella. Hey, this is a game where all the NFL scouts will be watching. This is a game you show up and show out, and you get onto these draft boards. You get invited to the combine. Have a big time game in a big time environment like this. And this is when your name can go down the lore of Husky football. But I just want to say, those are the things that you have to do is how do you shut down a team like Oregon, make them one dimensional?
So real quick then, you guys would agree that the interior of the defensive line for them is the offensive line for them is their strength, correct?
I think it was before Poncho got hurt, for sure.
Poncho's the center?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is really good. I was watching that, and he's not playing this week. That's 100%.
I think it doesn't look I would say it's like 40, 60, 60 being no, he doesn't play.
Because what I was going to
not playing 100%.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask is, do you guys see us going with that big front that we were doing against the Michigans and the Ohio States, where we brought Peppa, Sagapalu, some of our bigger defensive line to plug up the middle, since that's what's going to be, that's where they've been eating all season.
Mike, yeah, I love that call. I have that written down in some of our jumbo packages. I don't know if you run that all game, but I think if you can get them kind of behind the sticks a couple of different times, stuff them on early downs, and I think you can stuff them with some of our 5-man fronts. I think it'll allow us to then get after the quarterback a little bit better. So to your point, I think you probably see some of our big bodies. Has Peppa been playing as much the last couple games? Do you have that, Izzo?
I feel like I've seen him a little bit. I don't know. I feel like we've seen a lot more Bryce Butler.
He gets like somewhere between 5 and 10 snaps a game.
Yeah. Because I kind of thought to start the season, I thought we'd see him in that like 10 to 15 range. But for some reason in my mind, just watching the game, I feel like it might be even less. And maybe that's just because the Bryce Butlers of the world,
it is,
have just played so much, so much better than we thought.
Also, who we've been playing.
I think it's like a mix of that, Peppa's health. Stuff like that too. Like, I don't think he's really ever been at 100% this entire year. I pretty much see it exactly like Noah is in terms of like a scheme perspective. It's what's interesting is, as we talk about this game, does it not feel like there is real juice here that this game is a winnable game for UW?
Yes.
Like, I know how good the Oregon's looked. I'm not discrediting that at all, but the injuries for them have been, it just like they've been bad for UW. They've been really bad for Oregon too. And I think
it's the injuries in like the right places too that we
playing towards our strengths.
It does. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, O-line, 3 questionable offensive linemen in this game that are starters for them. Like, it's bad timing for them when they really need to establish the run in this game, and our strength is our interior defensive line. So here's my take. I don't think you're going to shut down Oregon's run. I
would probably agree.
You're just going to try to limit the number of explosives that they have in this game to like under 5, something like that. And that might be obvious, because if you're giving up 5 explosives on the ground, you're probably not winning many of those games. But if they can keep it to that and you can force Dante Moore into third and long situations, just like Noah's talking about, where you really key in on Sadiq with the ZRS and McLaughlin over the top, I would literally do that exact type of thing. And like Noah said, you can't do it all game, but that heavy front, that's exactly what I would be doing. They'll probably try to do some of the same stuff and deploy that some tempo on us too, to keep us from rotating in the middle. But man, I am loving how Bryce Butler is playing. I'm loving how Linneas Davis is playing. You want to keep those guys on the field? Go for it, man. They're two-dimensional, especially your Bryce Butlers, the 3 techs that we have. Those guys are more deployable, I think, than Oregon expects when it comes to defending the pass and the run at the same time. And Ty, things like, we're just really deep in that body type that I think plays well in this game. To disrupt passing lanes for Dante Moore, I think Jacob Lane has an opportunity to have a really good game. I guess overall, I really like our defensive line against their O-line. And if the game is won in the trenches,
especially now,
man, yeah. It feels kind of good in terms of a matchup if you go football math here. But I think the reality, and we'll get into our predictions here, this is gonna be a weird, low-scoring game that we are not used to. We haven't seen in years in the Pac-12 with these two teams. And man, you have that Husky Stadium crowd that is going to be as loud as ever. You've played Penn State, downtrodden Penn State, and you guys broke them, whatever it is. But you see him, he's got 6 picks on the year. If you force him into third and long enough with this crowd, it's going to be a different type of pressure for that young quarterback.
The Ducks are averaging 6.1 yards per carry. Our defense is giving up roughly about 3.4 yards per carry. So where does that sit? I mean, is it like, if we can hold them to about 4 yards a carry, that gets them into, your third and 5s, third and 6s, depending on, what play calls they're running. But like, I'm telling you, if you can get Dante into third and 6, third and 7, make him be the guy that moves the sticks and not have it be third and 2 where they can get Kenyon Sadiq on just a quick little stick route or something easy, but really make Dante beat us with those, I don't want to call them second-rate receivers, but just their non-starter receivers across the board. I just think that this is where our UW front can really be successful, especially in once again, it's kind of a beat up offensive line for Oregon, man. And this game on Montlake, man, this is how Jed Fish run teams, man. At home, man, we come out that cage, we got that purple smoke, and it's just a different environment, a different mentality, all around this team, when they're playing at home.
And we don't need to pitch a shutout, we just need to keep them in the 20s, and we will have every chance to win this game. So, and this is kind of weird, we tend to do this on this podcast, like flip it back to the offense, but we cannot turn the ball over.
That's big.
We can't give them short fields in this game. We can't gift them possessions with penalties. And that's, we talk about that every single podcast, but it's going to matter a lot. And it kind of, it plays into our hand a little bit that this game is the last game on the schedule.
Do you think Oregon fans, do you think they look at this game and they're like, well, we're going to wax these dudes? I'm being serious about that. I'm talking about real Oregon fans that no, I'm not talking about nut job Twitter dudes. I'm talking like real knowledgeable Oregon fans. They look at this game and they're like, dude, 6.5, 7. Yeah, that's probably about right. But once the first pads start clicking, I don't think the spread matters. Who's gonna convert on third down? Who's gonna get the ball in the red zone and not kick field goals and score touchdowns instead? Who's gonna be able to run the rock?
Once the shit talk of early hate week dies down for them and they're not focused on the vitriol, as it creeps closer to game time and they start breaking this game down and realizing how many injuries that they have, especially on that offensive front, and they stop assuming going, oh, UW lost to Wisconsin, this team is terrible, yada, 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 that they think they'll start to see that pucker factor for Oregon fans as we creep closer. They're going to be nervous for this game, for sure.
As they should be.
Absolutely.
The last couple times they came into Husky Stadium thinking we weren't going to do anything, we ended up taking their food and their playoff hopes with us
Dan
home.
Lanning is 1-3. I tell you what, Dan Lanning is not doing that. And he's probably not having his team operate that way. I can for sure say that, but the fans,
Duck Twitter could be doing that.
Duck Twitter's probably doing that now, but as they creep closer, if they're paying attention to actually what's happening on with the personnel and how the matchup actually looks, they should not be super uber confident in a road game at Husky Stadium right now.
Okay.
But they're a very good team too. I don't want to discredit that. I don't want to go on record and just say that and have me shut up. I will say they're a very good team and they are very deep, like Noah's talking about, but they have injuries at the wrong spots right now.
UW will know. Mark my word on this. We will know as fans. The staff will know. The coaches will know. Everyone in that stadium will know by about 8 or 9 minutes left in the second quarter. We'll know whether UW can win this game. And the reason I say that is, can we keep them from hitting us with explosive run plays? Can we keep them from just drudging us for 12, 14 play drives? We'll know if we can get them off the field. And if we can get them off the field, I'm telling you, you talk about that pucker factor, dude, that stadium's going to be absolutely ruckus. And that side, they're gonna be praying to God they're in Austin Stadium.
That place will be rocking.
You saying that, dude, like you going through what you just said right there. It's true. You will know early on. If they jump out 10-0, that's when you have to fight back and start passing the ball a bunch. That's when you're in trouble. But if it is close in the first half, it's going to come down to the wire. Let's get into our predictions, man. Because
we got questions from the audience first, and there's things and there's actually one question I'm going to ask right before all that. But what we also do in the Discord and we do on Twitter and in the comments is we allow you guys to ask us some questions. And we answer them live here on, well, I guess not live, but recorded here on the Dubbed Up podcast. Before we get into the questions, there's one question that I actually have for the two of you. I saw a narrative today on Twitter that this rivalry is not as heated or full of hate and vitriol like Ohio State and Michigan, or like my guy.
Yeah, Hood. We talking about you, Hood.
My question to you guys is: do you think that is true? And if so, do you think the fact that the rivalry really didn't heat up until the last 25 years as part of why people may feel that way?
I'm gonna let Izzo take this, and I'll come in second because I think Izzo has one of the most iconic, best ways of explaining why the University of Washington and a lot of college football truly hates Oregon football. So I'm gonna let him kind of roll, and then I'll jump in just kind of with a quick jump back.
Let me explain why this rivalry will not die. Is because from the Washington fans' perspective, they saw it first, and obviously, so it's the school closest to you. That Oregon's rise to prominence was purchased by one booster, and that they're the only school not near a major metro without program prestige that's older than 25 years, 30 years, that all of a sudden is a national focused team. There is one reason for that, and it is 100% unique. We see the Duck stuff about how, the Don James years, we were purchasing recruits, stuff like that. Our history goes back, of way, way beyond that. And it's taken success at a level of 80 years, 70, 80 years to build to the program that we are at today. And it is an anomaly what has happened in Eugene, Oregon, where the recruits that they pull in nationally couldn't point to Eugene on a map. But somehow they land kids from Maryland. Like, there's one reason for that. And they pointed at us and they were like, that is jealousy. You guys wish. Sure, to some degree, do we wish we had like a Phil Knight, the CEO of Nike?
Definitely.
For sure, of course. But that doesn't mean that I respect the fact that that is how your program has any prominence at all. There's no way I'm going to respect that. You didn't put the years in. I'm sorry.
Quickly, from my perspective, I mean, no one can take away the amount of wins that they've had over the last 25 years. I mean, it is honestly quite impressive. But the thing is, you still don't have the win. and you still got no
Oh,
national
man.
titles. It's one of the top 10 rivalries in the country now because it's so
I think
hated.
it's got to be top 5. I mean, if Twitter is any representation, there can't be 5 more.
That's kind of what I was actually about to get into is that in that 25 years, part of it took our dark age of Husky football.
Oh.
And that was when they really started elevating as a program, was when we were really bad. And so we had 12 years of flip sides of the story, where instead of us beating up on Oregon, they were beating up on us for 12 years. And then finally, in the last decade, we've gotten to the point where both teams are not just good, but elite, and at a few different periods.
Winning percentages over the last 10 years.
Yep. Teams. And in those period of time, the last 10 were 5-5. We're 5-5 against them.
It couldn't be more perfect for the right. We don't.
Yep.
I feel like I could talk about this for hours.
Well, and it's important because that's part of the potent part of Washington football and Oregon football is the rivalry we have, where we're not beating up on just a little brother anymore. Now it's a team that, man, when we played in the Pac-12 championship, we were top 10 teams. That doesn't happen except for in major rivalries. That's the way that played out, and that's why this rivalry is so big, and why right now, we're pissed off that we're not ranked. But if we beat Oregon as an unranked team, we're going to destroy their ability to get into the playoff. It's going to really screw them over, especially if Michigan finds a way to get their 5th win in a row against Ohio State.
The last thing I'll say really quick is this, and to Izzo's point is, it's not that people don't respect the wins in general. Dude, winning is hard in college football, and it's really it's hard to do even when you buy your players. But what it is being a fan, the fanatic, that comes with like the highs and lows and the grind of bad seasons and good seasons. And when you have somebody in a college football world, which it wasn't always this way, where they were just dishing coffee cans of money, building billion-dollar infrastructures in Eugene, Oregon. I'm not even saying that those are all like cutting edge things, and good on Nike for doing that. But no one else truly had that advantage.
You don't have to respect it.
Yes, it just zoomed them so fast into a national brand, into like, whether you want to call it a new blood, a blue blood, or whatever it is. It's like it just made them, in the conversation with all these schools that have national champions, have 40 years, 50 years, 60 years of the bells and whistles of college football and the lure. And that's where UW fans hate Oregon. It's because it's almost like they didn't earn the respect and the branding that they've been given.
That might be real, but you know what I think might be the realest side of it is this all really started to get fired up during the Twitter era.
Oh yeah.
And the Twitter era is the tip of the sword, and more so than the success of Oregon, it's how insufferable it is talking to Oregon fans. They're one of the most universally felt insufferable fan bases in all of college football.
They had to associate it as their thing because that's the only way that it becomes tolerable.
It's like, we're known because we're assholes. That's really what it is. And just so you guys know, this is how I'm feeling about you guys right now.
I love that.
But anyways,
y'all remember the kid in school that like his parents like grinded, had a couple like, bodegas down the street or a couple like, restaurants, and they just like grinded for their money. Just like good American
and then you
people.
were born with it.
And then the people who like their dad, invested in some like startup company, ended up making like billions of dollars. And now they're like the new rich kid who's like a prick. That's Oregon.
That's Oregon. All right. So let's look to the questions that we got from the Discord or from Twitter or from the comment section. First one comes from UW Football Minister of Vibes. What is one position group matchup that favors UW that could lead to an upset? How do the Dogs keep the Ducks from explosives in the run game?
I could answer that real quick.
Yeah.
First off, great question. One of my good pals there, Spendo Cheeks. Good to see a big dog. I think the way our secondary matches up with the wide receiver unit that they're going to roll out there, I think what it's going to allow us to do is truly put a lot more guys in the box, maybe some heavy fronts that'll help slow down. I don't know about shut down, but I think Izzo says slow down the run. I think that's what we'll have to do. So I think we can try to exploit their wide receiver group with our DBs, and then allow us to kind of go man up, put an extra guy in the box to shut them down.
Izzo, you got anything to add to that?
I guess like it's kind of a cop out for a position group, but our quarterback speed versus their linebacker speed. I think that's the biggest thing that could lead UW to an upset is DeMond's feet versus their linebackers chasing them. All right. And I think we discussed how we stop explosives. You do what we were talking about with kind of rolling out that bigger front, going one-on-one, like Noah was saying.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Pickett's going to be in for a long day up against Bryce Butler and Ontario Thompson and those big boys up there. I mean, Charlie Pickett's never played much football for Oregon, and there's a reason that he's a redshirt senior and he's getting beat out by a sophomore. So, I mean, good luck, Charles.
Good luck, Charles. All right, the next one is from Murph Stuff. If as a party is good to go, do you start him? The continuity on the offensive line has been working nicely these last 2 weeks.
If he was, you do. Definitely. He's probably your best offensive lineman, him or Carver. But I don't think he is healthy.
Okay.
I think that's the short answer for it is like I don't think it's happening, but if it is, and I'm sure we could kind of almost move on past this. I'm sure Noah feels the same way, right? Yep. Like I would assume Drew Asparty, if he's healthy, you absolutely play him in this game, but he's probably not.
Okay. All right. You guys do me a favor. Make sure you go that like and subscribe button. Helps us with the algorithm. All right. Prediction time, fellas. Izzo, I'm going to start with you on this one because I know I see you stroking your beard a little bit, and I know you're feeling like you're feeling like this is you're seeing an opening for UW to really make some plays. Give me your predictions on how this game's going to shake out.
Noah really got me fired up when he was talking about how if this game is close after like the first quarter and a half, like that just invigorated me because he's right. If UW does the things that we talked about, the big check marks are, do you get over 150, 165 on the ground? If we do, we are right in this game 100%. If we don't commit turnovers, if we win the turnover battle or even, you are 100% in this game. If you do not commit more than 5 penalties in this game, you are 100% in this game. If you get down into the red zone and you're 75% plus, if you get down there, 4-5 times and you score 4 times and 3 of those are touchdowns, you're in this game. It's a race to 30. But the weird thing is that the race is who can do it and keep that defense on the field and limit possessions for the other team and almost like win that, but do it slow. Weirdly. I don't know how to put that properly, but like we need to do this on the ground. They do too. And so here are the X factors. I think Kenyon Sadiq is an X factor. I watched him cooking USC linebackers and safeties who try to man up with him. He is way too shifty. He's a wide receiver. He's like a very good wide receiver who plays tight end who is super physical. So if he is successful, that is going to spell trouble for us. I love the ZRS and Alex McLaughlin kind of over the top like equation on that. And the thing that USC, when they were getting cooked, is they were kind of playing like off of him. You need to get up in his face and punch him in the mouth. ZRS is big enough to do that. 100% is 240 pounds. I know Sadiq is big too, but he is absolutely physical enough. Can he cover him long, like range as a true freshman? No. So you need that guy over the top.
Do the bracket. Yeah.
I know this is long-winded, but those are the things that I'm thinking about as we head forward. And I'm nervous for this one. I got UW winning this game 27-24, guys.
I love it.
I really do. The more that we talked about this game, I think the injuries are going to become insurmountable. And I think Dan Lanning is pissed off and he wants this game at Husky Stadium really bad. And I think his guys will be prepared. But I don't know if the public is fully aware at how strong this defensive front is. And I don't mean to say that they're going to be held under 100 yards, but 150, 140, 130 in that range. I think that can be done. And with the lack of wide receivers that they have posing threats on our corners, for them to impose that long-winded drive against us versus us being able to do that with DeMond. I think DeMond has the better chance than Dante Moore does at extending drives and confusing these defenses. And Washington, our crowd is going to be insane. And I think at the end of the day, that is what causes UW to win 27-24. That's how I see it.
I like how that sounds. That would definitely make for a wonderful holidays for all of us here in Husky Nation. Noah, give me your prediction.
I think the big names in this game, like I talked about, are Dante Moore and DeMond Williams. I think this game comes down to the matchup that I really, really said earlier is the trenches, but I think the chess movers are Will Stein versus Ryan Walters. I think that is going to be who has the pieces on the table that they can still form and actually win a game with. I think Will Stein has a lot of his pieces on that chessboard that won't be there. I think losing those multiple offensive linemen, the wide receiver room that is absolutely battered and bruised. I think your Ryan Walters are going to have not just a week to get ready for this game. I think they've been getting ready for this game for 3.5 weeks. I think you're going to see all of the showstops come out in this game. Trick plays on offense, exotic pressures on defense, things that we haven't seen. This is a trench warfare type game, and it's going to be a rock fight. This is another game where I don't think you get to 50 points between the two teams. I think Grady Gross is going to go out with an absolute bang in this game. UW 24, Oregon 23.
That's close.
That's wild. Yeah, I
like it though. I like it.
I wonder when the last UW Oregon game was under 50.
Mikey, what you got?
Yep. All right. Well, to be honest with you, there's a couple of scenarios. For me, the first one is the straight up healthy. We're playing healthy the way that we are right now, and we make it through the whole game that way. We do that. I think we're going to score. I think we're going to score some touchdowns on this defense, especially in Husky Stadium, where things can become a landslide quickly, especially if you fall behind this offense and Jed can get cooking. If that does happen and these injuries that Oregon is facing stay true till game time, I can see us going out there winning 31-27 in what ends up being not quite a shootout, but approaching it, especially in the second half when the defenses get cooking. Now, this is the flip side of it. If our offensive line does not stay healthy, the same things that happened in the games that we lost, I think we might be in for a long day. That's what I worry about there. And in that case, I could see a team like Oregon, because they have our defense on the field so much, getting up and running up like a 45-17 type game. And that would be the doomsday scenario if it plays out that way.
Yeah, I mean, my entirely serious question here: will Oregon fake? How many injuries will they fake? What's the over under?
How many hamstrings will be left on the
field? Three is the over under on that.
All right.
Yeah. So hold on. So let's just be clear. So
Turd Ferguson is coming back just to do it.
Izzo 27-24 is what you said. 27-23.
Yes.
So Izzo 27-24. Myself 24-23 on a Grady Gross field goal, and Mikey
31-27.
31-27. So we're just going the purple snurple just across the boards, baby.
It feels okay. So like if you were to not watch anything that we talked about and fast forwarded this entire podcast and got to the end, we've watched plenty of Oregon football. We know how good they are. But the when you break it down and you start to do the football math and you think about the schemes that can be laid out, I don't think we're dooging here to say that this is okay. Oregon can absolutely come out and win 27-24, 27-21. Yep. We're not saying that scenario doesn't exist, but I feel like the odds actually favor UW to be able to extend drives on this team when we're playing it at home. And they don't have a Damon Williams factor. Their Damon Williams factor is Kenyon Sadiq or whatever, that little X factor within your offense that's going to cause a mismatch. I like Damon Williams over Kenyon Sadiq creating mismatches because I think the option for trying to spell him out of this game is more obvious than it is to do that with DeMont. It creates more chess pieces, especially when you layer in the factors of like the trick plays and all that type of stuff. Washington, if they don't shoot themselves in the foot with penalties and turnovers, can 100% win this game.
Who's going to spy DeMont? Because that's what all the teams that have been really successful have done to us is spied him.
Is it Betcher? Are you going to pull a safety down? Are you going to pull Woodyard down? I mean, or somebody like that? Because
I don't know.
I'm not taking Jerry Mixon on him.
I don't think they'll spy them on. I think that they think they can contain like with their edges and make him make plays inside the pocket.
That's why this is going to be a chess match, because if they depend upon that, all right, here's RPO all game.
You think they'll come out and try to do what they did last year against us?
To be honest with you, I won too many Jack and Cokes last year in this game. But
they contained Damon. They kept Damon in the pocket.
Yeah, I mean that was dude. Honestly, bro, that's a deer in the headlights, baby giraffe. Like that's his first game. That's in Autzen Stadium. I mean, this is a completely different team. They're going to bring pressure. Like, I mean, they're going to try to get in his face. They're going to try to bat balls down. They're going to try to make him uncomfortable. They're going to try to get him off his spot. I'm telling you, we'll have a very clear idea if we can hang in this game and have an opportunity to win by about the 8-minute mark in the second quarter.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, it sounds good. All right, you guys, I think we're ready to call this a pod.
Yes, sir.
I think we're ready to call this a pod.
Last regular season game of the year, boys.
Yep. So make sure you guys get out to Husky Stadium because they're going to need your support. Also, make sure you join the Discord. Link is in the bio. We already said like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think. All right. Hopefully next week we're talking about a wonderful win and looking forward to a bowl game. We'll be back here next week. Same dog time, same dog channel. For Noah and Izzo, I'm Mike Flunt, and this is the Dubbed Up Podcast. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs, baby.
Go Dogs, baby.
On, baby.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my